What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. In today's video we're going to take a look at the all-new 2024 Toyota Land Cruiser. This one is the first edition, finished off in sand. MSRP is $80,000. Big shout out to Flo Toyota of Statesville for providing this new off-roader for today's video. Take a look at their website, linked down below. Underneath the hood of the 2024 Toyota Land Cruiser First Edition, you're going to find the iForce Max, which is a 2.4 liter inline 4-cylinder turbocharged motor with the hybrid assistance. This pumps out 326 horsepower with 465 pound-feet of torque. Also paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission, a full-time 4-wheel drive system. Curb weight is around 5,000 pounds, max towing capacity is around 6,000 pounds. And then running on a 17.9 gallon fuel tank, you're looking at 22 miles per gallon in the city with 25 out on the highway. The overall length is 193.8 inches with a wheelbase at 112.2. Width is 77.9 and height is 76.1 inches. You're also going to find an electronically controlled limited slip center and rear differential. Approach angle is also 31 degrees. Ground clearance is 8 inches and departure angle is 17 degrees. Taking a look at the exterior styling with the retro designed 2024 Land Cruiser First Edition. This is the top of the line trim, having a super cool appearance. You are going to get a nice set of LED headlights. I like the blacked out design to them, and of course the round look certainly looks like an old school truck. You got the Toyota name written out just like from back in the day with a square design throughout the mesh. You can also see these small square shapes in those reflectors on the far side, and then some plastic material for the lower front bumper. You have a set of rigid LED fog lights, parking sensors throughout the front, a little bit of body color as well, and then plastic material throughout the center of the bumper. You have a forward-facing camera, more of that square mesh, a nice silver portion, and then a skid plate down below. Certainly has an off-road appearance, very boxy, super squared off. You're going to see some sharp body lines cutting throughout the hood, fading their way towards that windshield, and I love how the center actually dips downwards to give you better driver visibility when hitting the trails. As we make our way to the side profile, the plastic material from the front bumper fades its way into these fender arches. You are going to see a really nice set of 18-inch wheels finished in a satin black. We also have the Ridge Grappler tires, which is a really good all-terrain setup. You have a nice bulge throughout this front fender just to give it some width, and then a really nice sharp body line cutting through the lower portion of these doors. Really good set of frame-mounted rock sliders as well, a little bit of plastic trim, and then you can see the gloss black for the door handles along with your mirror caps. Mirror caps do feature an integrated turn signal. Then there's all black surrounding the windows. I really also like the two-tone design for this roof. It's a nice off-white. You can see a sunroof up on top, full roof rack system, and I like the two black lines that pretty much separate the body from the roof. Side profile, it's extremely boxy, super rugged. Definitely a really good heritage theme for the new Land Cruiser. You're going to see that one prominent sharp body line cut through the side, make its way back up to the roof, integrated spoiler up on top as well, and a nice set of LED taillights. Got this plastic material for the entire rear bumper, spare tire down below with a tow hook, and then your trailer hitch is integrated underneath that bumper cap. You have your parking sensors, iForce Max badge, and then Toyota is all blacked out throughout the center with your backup camera. We have Land Cruiser on the one side, and then nice sharp body lines finishing it up to add to the retro theme. Moving to the key fob, we get lock, unlock, remote liftgate, and then it says Land Cruiser on the backside. If I go ahead and lock the SUV, you can keep the key in your pocket, and just by grabbing it, we can automatically unlock it. You're gonna get the nice black leather interior throughout this first edition with a few extra design cues. Throughout the door panel, you're gonna get the first edition stamped right into the material. Has a really nice look to it as well. And then down below, you can see a little bit of contrast stitching. There's padding on the armrest. This is a nice soft touch padded material as well. You can see all of your controls for windows and mirrors, memory seating, and then a ton of storage all down below. You're gonna have power controls for these seats, and then I like the smooth leather on the side with contrast stitching. You're also gonna see up front, we have a leg rest. You can easily extend that manually. You have perforations throughout the center of the seats, a little bit of contrast stitching throughout the backs. Definitely a really premium looking interior with this interior setup. You have black leather throughout the steering wheel with some dark color, and then the retro Toyota badge right in the center. And then now sitting inside the first edition Land Cruiser, keep my foot on the brake, we can go ahead and fire it up. All the screens are gonna turn on. Taking a look at that gauge cluster, you can see a digital readout for your speed with a tach on the left side and then speedometer on the right side. You can configure it using the controls on the steering wheel. So if I just scroll left and right, you can make a few adjustments throughout what you see in all the different screens. Now if you go ahead and hit the OK icon, you can actually adjust each of these sections. So I can adjust what I want to see in the center, can have a map, a few other items, and then scrolling to the left screen, you can also adjust that further with more information about the engine and the SUV. Same thing with the far right side, all sorts of different information. Taking a look at the steering wheel, on this left side you can see some Bluetooth and audio controls, and then over on this right side we have all your cruise control settings as well. Behind the steering wheel you are going to see the stalk for the windshield wiper, and then turn signal stalk on the left side with a sensor right in the center. Now down below on the left side you are going to get our automatic high beams, a few more settings, rear fog lights, fuel cap, tailgate release, and then the trailer brake adjustments down below. A nice round design for the vent, heads-up display system, and then just a soft touch material throughout the dashboard. It has a nice look and feel, very rubbery feeling. This is a soft touch as well. You have this really cool, kind of looks like a military rope or something, kind of a nice trim, especially for being such a rugged SUV. More of the soft touch material throughout the center. And then the center infotainment system is basically what you're going to expect on all modern Toyotas. Of course, you'll have to set it up to get all the different adjustments. You're going to see climate you're able to take a look at, a few things in there for the rear as well. Trip information, you can take a look at all of that. Then we also have off-road info, which is a great touch to see. You can see the drive mode along with pitch and roll, your steering angle, of course your accelerator, along with your brake pedal. So that is a really sweet touch for this. And then all sorts of different settings throughout the SUV. Now, if we go ahead and pop this into reverse, you're gonna get that rear view backup camera on the right side and a top-down view. Now, it is very cool. Once you start moving, you can see how the vehicle disappears and you can see what is underneath the car. Then if I go into drive, I can then toggle the view icon down below, get us back into the camera system, and we got that front view camera. And of course, I can now toggle the view icon and see a few different setups. So really cool camera system for this. Down below, we have two of your air vents, hazards, and then all sorts of climate controls. We have heated and ventilated seating, your different toggles in the center. You can toggle your fan speed very easily, air conditioning, dual zone temperature, a few more controls. Down below, you can see extra USB ports along with a wireless phone charger. And then over on the left side, we have our drive modes that you can select right here. It's gonna pop up on the screen with your sport, normal, as well as eco with a nice depiction. And then we have multi-terrain select, downhill assist and crawl control, and a tow mode down below that. Beneath that, you're gonna see electronic park and brake and brake hold. Then we have traction control, stabilizer disconnect, center and rear differential, as well as four-wheel low. Cup holders on the right side, some nice padding throughout this armrest, and then opening that up, you can see a good amount of storage in here along with the cool box button. So you can put some nice cold sandwiches and food in there when you're out on your adventures. On the right side, have a pretty decent sized glove box as well. One last look at the interior. First edition is a nice place to be. This is pretty sweet overall. Really cool use of materials, comfortable seats. Nice black headliner. There is a manual sunshade for the sunroof. And then up above, you can see your different dome lights, glass controls, and then we have the camera integrated into the rear view mirror. There's also garage door buttons underneath. Moving on to the rear seat space, if we go ahead and grab the door handle and open it up, the door panels finish off just like the front. You even have the nice same soft touch with first edition padding for the armrest, even additional JBL speakers. In the back, you're gonna see the perforations along with the smooth leather for all three of these seats. And then in the center, we can pull this down for a nice armrest with two cup holders. You are gonna see a few things in the center for all of your climate controls back here. We have extra plugs, storage on the back side of these seats, and then in the ceiling, you're gonna get those air vents for the actual climate controls. Now back here, I can pull this recline lever, get this seat nice and flat, and then even pop it upwards to gain access to the cargo space, or of course, just locking it down, it'll be nice and flat for storage. So hopping into the back seat now with the Toyota Land Cruiser at 5'11", I'm sitting here pretty nicely. The seat also will recline, so if I go all the way back, honestly, this is a pretty good family SUV. I have plenty of headroom here, and with the driver's seat at my height, my knees still have room, same with my feet. Good armrests, lots of glass around. Of course, the center armrest is pretty nice as well. Very happy they have air vents, which is a great plus. Get your grab handles up above and then a dome light up in the center. So if you're looking for a family off-roader, honestly, this Land Cruiser is pretty nice. Moving on to the cargo space, you can just press the button right here. It's gonna pop the glass. You can manually lift that up, and we have a really good amount of access for smaller items you're gonna put in the back of your Land Cruiser. From here, we can manually close it. The camera is actually located behind the glass, which is a great touch. And then this has a power liftgate with a button right back here. And with that open, you can see just how much storage you're gonna get in the back of a Land Cruiser. With these seats up, you can see just how much space. There is a bit of a bump back here due to the hybrid's battery system. You can lift the back up and there's a little bit of hidden storage, but primarily the battery's gonna be sitting right here. If you do fold down the seats, you can see how long it goes all the way up into the first row. A little bit of storage cubbies on the back side as well, a few little tie hooks. We have a plug on the far side, and then an area where you could put a privacy cover. And then from here, you are gonna see quite a few speakers up above. And then we have a grab handle up here, as well as your power buttons and dome lights. All right, so setting off now in the Land Cruiser. Let's bump it into sport mode. Man, with the hybrid and turbo, this thing moves. This thing's got some serious power to it. That is super cool. We go back into the normal mode now. I like how well it drives. Now, all the Land Cruisers are gonna have this setup. It is so smooth and so powerful. Anyone who's knocking it for being a hybrid or a 4-cylinder, drive it. This thing drives so good. You have that instant electric power down low and the turbo power down low to where this thing just starts moving. Now this drive mode, pretty cool with the screen on it. Slow speed, you're gonna see the camera system turn on. So for off-roading, you know, you have the drive modes as well. You can hit multi-terrain select and actually configure all sort of different drive modes themselves for the off-road, and then go back into drive mode themselves for the on-road stuff. So it's a very versatile SUV. It scoots though, without even stressing the engine. That's something I really like. Obviously turbo engines is a lot of boost, but the electronics are really helping this thing just get up and move without just redlining the engine. Ride quality in this first edition is really nice. This is incredibly comfortable. These seats are so well padded. I have the ventilated seat on right now. Many adjustments to really get just absolutely perfect. Steering wheel feels great, and I love all the use of soft touch materials. I mean, this genuinely feels very, very nice, which is better for $80,000. But this is really nice to be in. Big step up from the bottom of the line, the 1958 edition, or 1750, I can't remember. But this is a really nice place to be, honestly. Now with the technology, you have like the lane keeping, all the cruise control, stuff like that. So it's just a nice place to be with all the modern things you're gonna want. Do another acceleration, doing the manual mode, you can actually shift with the stalk on the center. The car will yell at you to pay attention sometimes. Man, just effortless. This is genuinely really, really nice to drive. As far as just the normal driving, like I said, it's just comfortable. Even with these tires, you don't hear any road noise or anything. And even shaped like a brick, you don't really hear any road noise or wind noise. So it's cutting through the air fine. And you hear a little bit of the engine. You do hear the blow off noise a little bit. So it's nothing annoying to listen to. It doesn't sound like a wimpy 4-cylinder. It's honestly a pretty refined driving vehicle. Visibility is great too. You have all the huge glass. Of course, I love the camera back here. That's a huge plus. When you look over your right and left shoulder, really nothing all too bad looking around. It's easy to see around. The hood is super cool. The center dips down low. That way when you're off-roading, you can kind of see what's down there a little bit better. And when you're driving on the street, you can totally see that. It does feel like a more longer, narrower vehicle, but given you can totally tell where the farthest corners are, it feels pretty easy to pinpoint. So if you're gonna be going off-roading with this, which you should, if you're buying a Land Cruiser, you better be hitting the trails with this thing, utilizing all the 4-wheel drive controls and all this fancy stuff. I mean, this definitely feels like it's gonna be something easy to place. Even with how these mirrors are located, you can see through them, which really helps just see like what's right next to your tire. So it's pretty nice to drive like that. Steering also feels really good. It's got enough weight to give you some confidence, but it's also light enough to be easy. I mean, this would be just a fantastic daily driver. You know, take the kids to school, go on a weekend adventure with the family, go on an off-road adventure with all your buddies. And then the most off-roading I can do in this car, hopefully we can hit the trails with one of these days. But even just going on some gravel, all those cameras pop up. I mean, you can just tell the suspension is set up to tackle any bump. It already feels at home and super smooth, even just slowly cruising over some gravel. This thing is super cool. I know it's expensive, but this thing is pretty sweet. All right, so my honest thoughts now, my own perspective with what this Land Cruiser is like. I am liking this a lot. It is so peppy, not even hitting 4,000 RPM. We're up to 40 just like that. I mean, this power plant is awesome. The brakes work really good. There's a little bit of like regenerative braking. It's nothing like an electric car would have or anything, but it does help the brakes a little bit. Interior is so nice. Like, I drove the 1958 recently. Felt a little cheap. It's all cloth, all hard plastic, very bare bones, and that was still like 60 something grand. Now the first edition is a lot more expensive than the normal Land Cruiser grade, which is the middle trim level. Kind of interesting the way they've named them. So personally, I'd probably go with the Land Cruiser grade just because I don't really care about having, you know, a first edition, a limited edition type of car. You fundamentally will get the same thing in the Land Cruiser grade. But overall, what you get in one of these when they're nicely equipped, I mean, like I said, it feels really cool. It's a completely different experience than when I drove the base model car. This feels, I don't know if it feels $80,000, but it doesn't not feel expensive. I mean, it feels like a really cool vehicle. Like, the soft touch just is so nice. It makes this feel much more premium than the basic one. So Toyota's interesting. You know, a lot of their new vehicles are pretty expensive, like the Tacoma. When you get the cheap interiors, they just feel cheap, but then spend a little bit more money on already an expensive car, and now you get something that just feels really nice. And yeah, it might be a little bit more expensive than you want to pay, but honestly, there is nothing out there that is like this vehicle. Aside from the Lexus GX, which is fundamentally the same thing. That's going to give you the twin-turbo V6, so pretty cool way to go as well. But this is really fun and really cool, even just driving it around on the streets. I hope we get a press car of one of these at some point and go off-roading. But I can just tell the way this feels versus a Tacoma or a 4Runner. This really feels like this is the one you want to go off-roading with. It's got a more narrow footprint. It just feels more compact to you. And the visibility around seems really nice to be able to pinpoint it. And even for being incredibly capable off-road, I mean, the Land Cruiser name itself we know is synonymous with off-roading. Sway bar disconnects, the lock and diffs, 4-wheel drive, and all the different drive modes. I mean, this thing pretty much can go anywhere, even with the independent front suspension. That disconnect is going to make it to where this can go anywhere a Wrangler can go. You know, some of these boxy SUVs are always compromised when you're on the road. I'm not seeing any compromises with driving this. We're going up to about 50 miles an hour. I mean, it feels nice and stable. Even kind of doing this, like, you can tell it's swaying a little bit, but it still just feels nice and confident. Don't do that in a Jeep Wrangler. That's going to be a little sketchy. Man, I don't know if I have really any complaints aside from it's not cheap. You know, to get into a Land Cruiser obviously isn't going to be the cheapest thing out there. I think the middle level would be like the sweet spot. This one, of course, you know, if you like having the limited stuff, it's cool. So it's not worth the price. Okay, right there, transferring from gravel from that pavement, I literally didn't feel a single bit of difference. I wish I could just haul on this gravel road and really see what it's like. But even going 30 miles an hour, you didn't notice a single bit of that. Gosh, this thing has surprised me a lot more than I expected. Man, if you are looking for a cool off-roader that will also be family friendly, road-worthy, to where you can enjoy mileage on the highway, which most off-road vehicles are gonna be mall crawling 90% of the time. But this is the car that you can genuinely enjoy on the street, use for the day-to-day, but go on a weekend adventure, go on a camping trip, go on a true off-road weekend where you're camping throughout the woods and not touching pavement. I think you're gonna have a heck of a good time in the Land Cruiser. If you guys enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for plenty more content. And a big shout out to Flo Toyota of Statesville for providing the new Land Cruiser First Edition for today's video. Take a look at their website, linked down below, and I'll see you all in the next video.